Look, we pay $40,000 per weekend.
Yeah.
Practice 1, you drive 30 minutes. Practice 2, you drive 30 minutes, and then you go to the race.
Yeah.
So how just make the calculation. How much do you pay per lap?
Oh,
Per
I
lap.
even.
That little lap you're exiting the pits, and I'm just warming the tires.
Yeah.
That's money burning. That's money burning. You know.
Welcome to episode, I think, 6 of Inside Sim Racing. I'm Brian Bielanski, and I am excited about the show we've got coming today. Here's a guy I have been watching on YouTube forever, and he is now racing professionally, and he is a musician, which I'm going to also dig into a little bit. His name is, if I butcher the name, tell me. It's Suélio Almeida, correct?
Suélio. There's a
Suélio.
little I hiding there between the L.
There we go. There we
Suélio.
go. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me, man.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. You're coming to me from where today?
Currently I'm in Dubai. That's where I am currently residing, although
Nice.
I'm doing a full championship in the US, so there's a lot of flying involved. I did the calculation. It's probably around 40 days in the air per year.
40 days actually in the air?
Actually in the air. I'm talking about running time.
So what's the flight time, let's say, from Dubai to the United States typically?
If it's a direct flight, we're talking about 13 to 16 hours.
Okay.
But I always have to get a little connection
Yeah.
for the actual race
Sure.
places. So you add another 4 or 5 hour drive or 2-3 hour flight. So yeah, generally the trips they end up being around 24 hours.
So when you come to Dubai, do you typically end up on the East Coast or the West Coast?
Oh, I mean it's IMSA, right? So we do both.
No, but I'm
Sometimes I
saying
fly straight to.
the flights, do they typically end up, your connecting flight, is it typically on the New York or LA?
Oh no, well Emirates they fly everywhere, so
Got
I can
it.
go to Chicago or Miami or JFK or LAX.
Got it.
They have direct flights to all those big cities, and then I just need to take some smaller connections after.
So you need an Emirates sponsorship is what you're telling me.
I would love to, but yeah, we tried. We tried, I swear.
I love it. I love it. All right, so we ask every guest on the show the same first question, and that is this. How did you get mixed up in this crazy sport that we love called sim racing?
Yeah, okay. I think my case is a little bit different because I see a lot of people getting into racing through their family and through friends that do racing. But I was the black sheep of the Brazilian family that did not like soccer. I just went through games, a lot of video games, 25,000 hours of gaming, 10,000 hours of music. And I got into racing through racing games, essentially Gran Turismo, Need for Speed, all sorts of racing games. And then after probably like 10 years of doing these racing games on a controller, I ended up realizing that the sim racing existed, right? The wheel and the pedal. So I got
Right.
a Logitech Driving Force GT, used one. And then from there, I went to a Logitech G29. And I stayed with the Logitech G29 for 5 years until I was already 7,000 rating. I still had only the Logitech G29. I had no idea what a direct drive was, and even if I did, I would not have the money to pay for that. So it's pretty much gaming. I really liked race cars for some reason. No one introduced it to me. It was through, PS1 games and then the internet, and everyone around me did not know anything about racing. So I was the one proactively looking for it. I don't know why. I just found some very deep interest into race cars, and that's how it all started.
So you have an interesting background because you are a classically trained pianist, right?
Yeah, so I always liked music as well. That I get from my family because my brother played a lot. My father had a band, but even that I became the black sheep because I went through heavy metal and then classical music, which is precisely everything they did not play or listen to.
Right.
And yeah, from there I even did a little bit of engineering, but I was like, you know what? I only live once, and engineering was gonna be too much of a regular life, and I wanted to do something crazy. So I quit engineering after 3 years and started doing my piano career. And yeah, I went through heavy metal, then classical piano, then I did my master's degree, and since then it's been probably around 20 years playing piano. I played with orchestras. I did competitions, international competitions. I was studying 8 hours a day, and that has been, even today, it's part of my big identity. Like I am a musician. I
Yeah.
live through music. I play piano every day still today. Back then it was my job. Now it's my way to heal a little bit from the overwhelming world of racing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always with me.
So I didn't think about sim racing this way until I heard you were a musician, and it something just kind of clicked with me, and because I'm really working hard to get good at this, and I'm not right now, but I've made a huge amount of progress in the last couple of months when I started to really take it seriously. My background's in television, but I started my life as a musician also. I'm a clarinet saxophone player. And when I heard that you were a musician, something went in my brain like, wait a second. I need to practice this game, sim thing, like I practiced to become a good clarinet and saxophone player. And the minute I put those two together, something changed. And I started being really intentional. If there was a part of the racetrack I didn't get, when you have a 14, 15-minute classical music score, you don't play all 14, 15 minutes every time you practice, right? You play the section you suck at over and over and over again till you get it, right? So I started doing that, and I'm still not good, but I'm a heck of a lot better now than I was 3 months ago. Do you put those principles together when you do your practice?
Listen, I am defined by those principles. They constitute Suélio Almeida. It's that deep. I think anything I do comes from my background in gaming. So it's actually funny because now I'm known as the sim racer who got good in sim racing because of music, but we can go one level deeper and say that I became a good musician because I was a gamer before.
Wow.
And it's that competitive aspect of gaming and like trying to get really good at something that is, competitive. By competitive, I mean there's other people playing with you and you're always trying to be the best.
Right.
So in the end, that's definitely the driving force around everything that I do. Well, it was. Now I'm 31 years old. I'm able to understand that I want to get good at that just because of sheer curiosity rather than I want to get better than someone else, because
Right.
competitiveness can get somewhat toxic after a while. But I just read this book called The Inner Game of Tennis, which is amazing. It's about how to essentially prime yourself to enjoy something, to lock in, to get into the flow state. And I've been doing a lot of these things without being conscious about it. And when I read that book, I was like, oh my God, I was very lucky. I did so many right things in my life.
Right.
Through gaming, through music, and now through racing. And I think it's just this principle of how deep can you get in your curiosity? Like how much more can you dig when you're learning a new technique? Because I think it's like you said, before you realize that connection between your own musical background and sim racing, you were probably just driving,
Yep.
right? Exactly that. And that can work if you get yourself in the right environment. If you get yourself with like very fast drivers that then make you a little bit frustrated, like, oh my God, how is that guy still a second faster? I've been doing 100 laps.
Right.
That kind of frustration is the little driving force that gets you to dig deeper. But yeah, from there, I really developed this love for digging deep into into technicalities, for anything I do. So I'm learning the drums right now, and the first thing I did, okay, I'm gonna get an online course. I'm gonna really practice, and I'm gonna try to feel it exactly the right way. That whole process of converting words into
Yep.
knowledge, and then knowledge into understanding, and understanding into feeling.
Yeah.
That last step where you feel what you're doing without having to even explain is the ultimate objective, and it's honestly the best part of life is when you really become connected, when you become one with the thing you're doing. So I think that's the main principle that guides everything I do. And everything that I've done, gaming, piano, and racing, kind of added up. Each of these things contributed to that big principle.
So It's funny because if you go on YouTube and you're a sim racer, there's 100 people out there that you can have as your YouTube coach. I call it YouTube University. I also tell people who are trying to do this to pick a couple of people and stick with them, because you will tell me one thing, my coach will tell me another thing, then the next guy or gal I'll watch will tell me a third thing. And maybe all of that is good info, but if you don't kind of follow one path, it's hard because your brain starts to go kind of screwy, right?
Yeah, I've been going back and forth with that idea. So I think I did agree to that in the past. Now, I would say, depending on your level, if you're at a plateau, for example, it's actually good to try different explanations and see which
Sure.
one matches yours. For beginners, yes, definitely easy to get overwhelmed and get way too much information.
Right.
Way like right now, I think this has been the main theme of 2025 for me, is like, how can I teach just enough? Because I have a book. See, there's like infinite things here. But it's very easy to give this to a beginner, and they're not gonna know what to focus on. So the whole evolution in my coaching this year has been, how can I eliminate? What is the thing that you need the most that is already going to overload your brain, so that you stick with that until you get ready for the next step.
Right.
I'm actually redoing completely, as of like currently, we are relaunching the Almeida Racing Academy. We're creating the Almeida Racing Academy 3.0, which is essentially the third iteration of my online course. The first one was 2024. The second one was the end of 2023. This is the third one. And the main focus is actually that. It's not adding more information. Yeah, there's going to be new information. I learned a lot of stuff racing in real life this year, and last year racing the Radical Championship. But it's about, how can I put them in the right order so that you don't get confused. It's very easy to just get lost. Even for myself, when I'm learning something new, I go to YouTube. Yeah, you have 1,000 million
Right.
billion videos there, but you don't have infinite time to just go through all of this. You need to know exactly what to focus on first. So again, the answer is, it depends a lot on where you are at. If you're a beginner, it's very easy to get overwhelmed and even a little bit frustrated because you don't know what to focus on. If you're intermediate and you know exactly what you're looking for, then yeah, I think getting as many different coaches as possible to give you different sources of information that eventually might mean the same thing,
Right.
but through different words, through different concepts, through different thought processes, might be the right thing to do.
I think there's probably, for an absolute beginner, there's two different types of beginners too. There's the beginner who's never done anything other than sim racing, and then there's the beginner who has a whole life of actual IRL, real world racing, like me. I spent a lot of time in cars doing various forms of motorsports before I found sim racing, and it's so much harder when you've got experience on the track than when you just start out sim racing. But I think there are probably maybe 5 to 10 principles that, if the beginner can nail those in maybe the proper order, that will be a huge amount of progress very quickly for them. Is that your experience as well?
Yeah, 100%. There's many factors. I'm still building, my whole complete bigger picture opinion on why real life drivers struggle with the sim. I have a few suspicions. The first one is that gamers tend to lock in and spend way more time. Real life drivers, we real life drivers have 2 hours track time per day sometimes. We travel, we talk to people, we set up the car, we do a lot of stuff, a lot of meetings. We drive, we get out of the car.
Right.
The timing, the track time you spend is so little, right? And then when you go to the sim, you kind of do the same thing. You think that if you drive 1-2 hours, that's gonna be already
Right.
enough for you to, one, judge if the simulator is helping you, two, think that it's actually benefiting you on those 2 hours, and just because you are used to such small time frames of practice, we tend to neglect the sim. And that's where we're gonna talk about that thing I said before we started recording.
Yeah.
About my own sin this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, real life drivers tend to spend way less time. That's one thing. Second thing, real life drivers are not used to 3D on a 2D screen.
Right.
So that already feels a little bit, nauseating even. And three, when you go from sim racing to real racing, you add senses, you add
Yes.
g-forces, you add yaw rate, you add a lot of things. When you so when you go from sim to real life, it's easier because everything you had in the sim is still available to you, and you get
Plus.
new things. Yeah,
Yes.
plus. But when you go the other way around, it's minus. So
Yes.
you go from real life to sim racing, you have less G forces. The things are moving in a different way. You have the force feedback. It's a little bit too clean, and people tend to lose that sense of speed.
Yep.
It's very easy, and that's why I think a lot of people have these like crazy comparisons. Oh, it's so much easier in real life, and they show a video of someone correcting a slide in real life, and then they show the same video, same car, same track, same corner, not being able to correct the slide
Yep.
in the sim, and say, "Oh, you see, the simulator is not realistic." But if you look closely, you will realize that real life, the sense of speed that we have is way higher. So we
Yes.
are most of the time carrying way less speed in real life compared to what we think we are in the sim. In the sim, you might be 30, 40, 50 kilometers per hour faster. And it looks the same just because of the FOV. So there's so many little things to adjust. Um, and you need to go through that phase, that baptism, like you're not going to be immediately fast in the sim, but if you prime yourself to push through, you're gonna become good. Also, there's an aspect of I'm gonna even say age. You see that a lot of beginners right now in karting, like between 13 and 20 years old, when they go to the sim, they adapt way more quickly because they were born already on
Right.
that gaming era. They are so used to the PC, they're so used to playing video games competitively, so they're able to create that adaptation. But above everything, what do? They spend
Yeah.
way more
Well,
time than real life drivers who try only 2 hours and then
and I think
decide if it's helpful or
yeah,
not.
I think the age thing, and I'll say it, is, and I'm the old guy here, so I think the age thing here is also a factor because I learned things faster when I was younger. Everything I learned faster when I was younger, whether it was working on a car, whether it was playing a clarinet, whether it was how to write a good news story. That's my background. I learned it all faster, and now I have all this stuff ingrained in me on how I do things. And when you have to adapt to something new, I just don't like doing it. I just don't like it.
Yeah. So that's the thing, right? Like you have to think: is it a neuroplasticity thing? Is it like is your ability to learn truly impaired, or is it just the patience to actually spend more time? Because
Ding, ding, ding.
in the end, you just measure the amount of time a kid
Yeah.
is gonna play. Like I used to do 24 races per week in Formula 3 when I was farming
Wow.
iRacing.
Yeah.
And nowadays I do one race per month.
Yeah.
And if I get something new, I'm playing the drums, I'm gonna play 1 hour and I'm gonna, okay, now I have to work, now I have to do this, now I have to work out, now I have to do coaching, like I'm
Yeah. We
not
have
gonna
responsibilities.
lock in and forget about my life playing the drums because I have a lot more responsibilities. Yeah.
Right.
So I will not attribute it to the actual innate ability to learn, but rather to just your life being more
Yeah.
filled with things to do and more responsibilities and even the pure interest. The kids are able to lock in.
Yeah.
Like you're able to do 10 hours straight.
Yeah.
And say, oh no, I forgot to eat. Yeah, I don't care. I just want to keep driving.
I love it.
So that's definitely one of the biggest factors I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's no longer a big deal. It is a big deal, but not as big a deal as it used to be when a sim racer gets a real life gig. It's happening more and more frequently all the time. But I think the how you land a real life gig from sim racing is fascinating. You are fast. I mean, I've watched you on TV doing real racing, and you are absolutely fast. That's part of it. But you have to get the opportunity to make that first step. How did it work for you to go from sim to real life racing?
Yeah, I was definitely not fast enough to do it like some people have been doing nowadays, and I acknowledge that because when I moved to real racing, I was 27 and I
Late.
already had very late. Yeah, exactly. And I
You're an
did
old
not.
guy.
Yeah. gonna talk with a deeper voice now because I'm a mode guy. um, I remember the shift. So I wanted to make it a business because I was getting old, and it was very easy to burn out trying to do 33 hours of practice in 1 week to try to join the Super Cup in iRacing. I remember doing the Contender series, and it was me, Brian Lockwood, and Kane Halliburton. We were a very strong team. Everyone was plus 8,000 rating, and we were practicing 33 hours in a week to find 210s and jump 50 people in the standings to be able to join the Super Cup, the Contender series. And it worked. That was on 1 week, the first week of the Contender series. And I burnt out. In 1 week. I was like, I'm not going to do this for the rest of my life or for the whole year or for 3 months, a whole season. 33 hours a week of practice to find 210s. It's too much. So that's when I decided that I did not want to do esports. And I was already making some money through coaching. And I was like, 33 hours of coaching? That's way better. That pays for my rent. I can start a family with this revenue. So I decided to move to content creation. Way better, way more. It felt like a way better use of my time. I was able to create content in these 33 hours that would impact millions of people rather than finding 210s. You know? So I was like, I kind of gave up going all the way to the elite level, even though I was already, top 126 in the world in iRacing. I was very satisfied with that. I did not need those extra 210s. And then, eventually I became champion in the Canadian iRacing Porsche Cup Series. And that is where I got spotted by a real-life team that called me for a test.
Nice.
But here's the catch, is that when they called me for the test, they didn't want me to just drive. They wanted me to coach.
Oh.
And I was like, that is perfect.
Yeah.
Because now I'm coaching track day drivers, beginners in real life, using all the experience that I'm using. And now definitely I'm not going to spend 33 hours practicing for 210s. I'm going to use those 33 hours to make content, to coach, to write a book, to create an online course. And that is how I made the revenue that allowed me to, go racing in real life.
Right.
So instead of depending on sponsors and depending purely on results in a brutal, cutthroat, competitive environment, I decided to create my own future by making my own business, helping people through coaching, and then getting that revenue and sponsoring myself into racing. That was a very good move because I just didn't feel happy, and I felt way too burnt out. Trying to go through the hard way, which is what most people try nowadays. How many people get it? How many people get to real life through sim racing competition only? Not a lot of people. It's very difficult. So in a way, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go through a smart route, run away from traffic essentially, and it worked.
I don't know how many people realize that the amount of people who are running professional series, IMSA, World Endurance Challenge. Let's forget about F1, but and NASCAR, Cup Series, and maybe even an IndyCar. But a lot of these people are supplementing their income, and their real income comes from coaching. They're professional race car. They're professional race car drivers because they're driving cars of other people all the time, coaching, and they're really not making any money as a professional race car driver as far as what the series they're racing in. And a lot of times they're having to bring their own money to their rides as well. So your path is not uncommon in that regard. Real quick, I'm going to take a quick break. I want to thank my partners here. Usually I do this without Suélio on camera, but I didn't put the bug over my shoulder on the one shot. So, Suélio, you're going to have to sit here through this for 30 seconds while I do this. I want to thank Sim Motion. Of course, if you need anything for your sim rig, they are the providers of some of the best sim racing gear in the world. Check them out, simmotion.com. Of course, they're also the good people behind the Inside Sim Racing racing podcast and the channel. And then my sim rig partner, Full Send Sims, great folks based out of Florida. They have full turnkey sim rigs. They've got a new product coming out that I'm really excited to tell you about when it gets here, and they are great folks. They also have a great sim racing league on Tuesday nights with both the Global Spec MX5 cars and a bunch of other stuff, and really good people. Check them out, fullsendsims.com. Could not do this show without their help. All right, back here with Suélio Almeida, talking about sim racing, talking about IMSA racing, all of that kind of stuff. Is this your first full season of professional racing?
Well, it's you always have we have to always agree on the concept. What is professional racing?
Sure.
Right? Because last year I did have some sponsors.
Okay.
But 2024 was the year where I took all the revenue. I'm talking about 100% of my revenue from coaching and bought a race car.
Oh.
I bought a race car. I got some sponsorships to pay for probably a fifth of the budget. Most of the budget was coming from coaching, and I was using that story of buying a race car and racing in real life. And eventually I became champion, which was not in the plan, but great, I'll take it.
Yeah.
To prove that I, as a sim racer, could go to real life and win, and so that I could sell more.
Right.
So I was self-sponsoring myself. I was
Sure.
essentially being the company that invests into the sponsorship and gets the return.
Right.
And the returns was course sales and coaching sales and book sales. So because I was doing it all like in-house, I don't know how much we can call that professional. Yeah. But I was beating professional racing drivers. And I was
What series was that?
That was the Radical North America Championship.
Got it.
Yeah, and I was beating drivers who were, podium in 24-hour Le Mans and everything. So, yeah, just conceptually, I don't know if we can call that professional, but then the next year when I joined TCR, it was 100% funded by sponsors. So, yeah, we can say, okay, that's professional.
Sure.
Professional racing, people are, like companies are putting money into my performance so that they can get their return on investment. And as a result, here I am racing. So then I would say semi-professionally in 2024 and professionally in 2025.
Yeah, the Michelin Pilot Challenge is an interesting jump up from the Radical Cup, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a jump up. When you're lining up for the anthem and seeing the planes flying, you're like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
So it's always amazing. It's always very emotional. Like right before the race starts is the best moment ever. That's the moment where you have some time to let it soak where you are and how many people are there, and all the rituals, pre-race are the best moment where you realize how big that is.
Does the 20-year-old Suélio dream or even conceptualize what the 31-year-old Suélio is doing?
Absolutely not. To be honest with you, I never even wanted to race in real life. It was never a plan. Like when my plan was to be a pianist, then COVID hit, and then I lost. I got a somehow toxic relationship with piano because of the pressure at the university, and then I was not going to the university in person. I was just spending so much time at home, and the outlet for that was sim racing. And then I started realizing that I was making more money from sim racing than I would ever make as a piano player. And then I decided to move to sim racing. And then someone called me and say, hey, do you want to drive in real life? I was like, ooh, no, I don't want to drive in real life. Like my first answer was actually no, because was never a dream, never wanted to do it. I thought it was too dangerous. I was too afraid of doing it. And then he insisted. He was like, no, you're going to be good. Trust me. So I needed that push to try it out.
Yeah.
It was never a dream. That's a weird thing, right? Like I see a lot of people going into sim racing right now. Oh, I'm getting into sim racing because I want to be a real life car driver. I'm like, I don't know if that's the best approach, because you need to have fun and you need to love what you do in the present. If you're just trying to do sim racing as a path to real life racing without necessarily enjoying sim racing itself, it might not work. And I'm proof of that, because I literally did not want to become a real life car driver,
right?
Real life racing driver. So that's how it started. It was never a dream. So the guy from from 11 years ago had absolutely no idea. No idea.
It's crazy. It's crazy. What we talked about something I don't typically do much pre-interviewing before these shows because I feel like they go better when I don't do a lot of research. I listen to you more and feed off of your responses. But we did talk about one thing before the show, and it's fascinating because you are so positive when I watch you on YouTube and always emphasizing putting the work in and how to practice to get better but you said that you didn't follow your own advice this year. Tell me about that.
Yeah. Oh, damn. I'm guilty. I'm very guilty. And I have my own reasons. I have my own excuses. Okay. But yeah, I mean, track time in sim racing is essentially free. Let's call it like that, compared to real life racing. Like, if you make the comparison, it just tends to be infinite, the difference. So
Sure.
you when you have such a good simulator like iRacing, and you have a decent load cell, a decent direct drive, a decent 3 monitor setup, and a seat bucket, like, it's gonna get very close to how it's gonna be in real life. And you need to trust that, um, to practice and to learn your techniques, so that when you get to real life, you don't waste time being confused or trying to learn things that you could have learned in the simulator. Because you might drive for 10 laps and that's it. That's it. That's $600. That's $1,000 gone, for those 10 laps.
Yep.
So you might as well just do 200, 300, 400 laps in the simulator before, so that you can maximize those 10 laps. And I preach that to everyone, anyone, at all times for the past 5 years. Get a sim, do a lot of laps, get as good as you can, so that you can not learn things in real life, but implement what you learn in the sim. Um, but I think I did a big mistake this year, is that I thought myself being like a, let's call it top level driver, right? Someone who got to 8K I rating, someone who became a champion, and someone who can coach drivers in the sim. I thought that I was ready, or that I was graduated from the simulator, and I didn't need to put that many hours in the sim before going to real life. That's my terrible assumption. And I was 1.5 second off, a second off the fastest drivers in TCR at my class, and they were um, world TCR champions, factory drivers for many years. They have been driving for over 10 years in these cars. So that was my excuse. Okay, these guys have way too many years of experience. Therefore, I'm slower because I need more time. Um, 8 rounds later, 8 rounds later, I realized, what if I just practice in the simulator as if I'm preparing for a true esports event,
Yeah.
and then go to real life? And that's what I did last round for Indy. It was not too much. I went from 2 hours, 3 hours of prep to 8 hours of prep in a week. That's not a lot. That's not the 33 hours we talked about.
Right.
But those extra 5 hours allowed me to find some extra 8 tenths, plus more consistency, plus I just ingrained in my brain all the braking references and everything. And then I went to the practice one in real life after that. And on my third lap, I was beating my teammates on a fastest lap, and already on pace. Three
Yeah.
laps. Out lap, flying lap, flying lap. And I didn't even try. I was just driving, but like the extra practice from the sim, the grip was so similar, the braking references were so similar. So that helped me so much. And I realized that I could have done that the whole year.
Yeah.
And that's the big realization, that I neglected the sim. Now I have a more detailed explanation for it. So there's two ways you can practice in the sim. One is to learn the concepts, to learn how things feel, to learn how to understand the physics. That's great, and that takes years. But the second way is polishing. It's almost like preparing for an event, so that things are sharp. So you're not necessarily learning new things, but you're just sharpening your senses. You're just sharpening your muscle memory. You're making sure that it's all back. Because your technique, your understanding of technique is great, but your implementation of the technique is like an elastic. You have to keep pulling. As soon as you let it go, it contracts.
Right.
And that is the part I ignored. That is the part that I didn't realize. And now I'm like, okay, I have to practice many hours, and I have to keep competing the sim to keep my senses sharp. Because yeah, it's very easy to lose the car and say, oh, I know why I lost it, but I could have not lost it by sharpening my skills constantly. You have to keep it up to date all the time, constantly, if you're practicing.
So my background's in club racing. And the biggest thing in club racing that people complain about is they don't have enough track time. Multiple races because there's all the different classes. And on a race weekend, you also just spend a lot of money. And with your race, you might get an hour and 15 minutes on the track. Maybe an hour 30 in a really big weekend. And people, it's like, if you go pro racing, you get more track time. If you're maybe in the top level of IMSA, you're getting some track time. But if you're in the Michelin Pilot Challenge, not only are you getting maybe an hour of practice and an hour of qualifying, you're sharing that time with a teammate. So it's not any more than when you have with the club racing.
It's less.
It's probably, well, I was to say, it's probably less.
It's less.
And when I try to convince people that the sim is very, very helpful, because you can basically, the first session at a new racetrack, especially if you've never been there before, is a throwaway if you've not sim raced. You're just learning right and left and what am I seeing? Can I actually see the brake markers? Where's my turn in? You can eliminate all of that BS by spending a couple of hours in the sim. And if you hit the wall in the sim, you haven't spent any money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
no, that I did that. Like I wasted my whole, well, okay, Virginia was different because I was actually afraid. Oh, that track is scary.
Oh, isn't it scary?
Yeah, yeah. That one, it took me a whole session to get like 2 seconds off, just because the tracks the corners are so fast. There's no runoff, and you're like, oh my God. That's an exception, but like, yeah, I remember losing a lot of time trying to learn tracks that I could have learned in the simulator before, and then regretting it, and then realizing, oh my God. Because look, we pay $40,000 per weekend.
Yeah.
Practice 1, you drive 30 minutes. Practice 2, you drive 30 minutes, and then you go to the race.
Yeah.
So how just make the calculation. How much do you pay per lap?
Oh,
per
not
lap.
even.
That little lap you're exiting the pits, and I'm just warming the tires.
Yeah.
That's money burning. That's money burning, So you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. The owner of my team is nothing less than Brian Herder.
Yeah.
And that guy, I sat with him to talk about that mentality of not wasting time. And I learned so much in 5 minutes. 5 minutes talking to the guy. And he's like, no. I'm not losing. I'm not going to warm up anything. I'm going to send it. I exit the pits on cold tires. I'm sending it. I want to learn how to go fast on cold tires because the race is going to be on cold tires.
Right.
When I get in the car on the endurance race, I'm going to be on cold tires.
Yep.
Like, why are you going to warm up the tires and go slowly and take care of? No. You send it. The race car is for that. And when I heard him saying that, I was like, oh my God, like, imagine the time that I could have saved on the past 3 years by having that aggressive mentality.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's you have to, that is go time. That is not learn time. It's go time.
And you can practice that in the sim.
Yeah.
You can set up your session with the repeat. I know there's a special term for it. I call it the repeat.
Active reset.
Active reset. Thank you. You can set up the active reset, so you're starting from pit lane and you're doing one lap and going right to pit lane and doing it over and over and over again. And that is, I find that in 35 years of being both a motorsports journalist, a participant, a crew chief, and all this kind of stuff, that the number one best drivers in the world are awesome on cold tires. Those out laps are so important. And that's something we can actually practice every day in the sim.
Yeah, yeah, you have to. Yeah, a lot of people use the active reset only when the tires are warm already.
Right.
They're like, no. Learn how to do that first 2 corners on a race start where everyone is making mistakes. Yep. Everyone is more cautious. Everyone is afraid of crashing. And that's the moment where you can make a lot of positions if you just know how to master the cold tires.
Yeah, so good. So good. This has been a fantastic conversation. I would love to have you on again because I think you and I could go way deep on stuff. a lot more.
Oh yeah, we can have full episodes on high downforce cars, low downforce cars, how
Yeah.
to learn a track, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm
So good.
always super happy to talk about those things.
So good. This is the opportunity that I give you to thank all the people that help you do what you do. The floor is yours.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for the huge community of the Almeida Racing Academy. We have 12,000 people on our Discord right now. We have 4 million views a month, and the academy doesn't stop growing. We have a lot of good stuff coming up. We just started a new season on our membership. We are changing completely how things are going to work starting in Black Friday, November 28th. We're going to launch a whole new system that is going to be way more optimized in terms of like how to find the right thing that you need to learn in the right order of priority. That's going to be really, really, really cool. We're launching that in Black Friday. Um, and yeah, I want to thank all the team from the Almeida Racing Academy, Kyle, Kane, Connor, and so many more people. I want to thank Greg Hubler, who's my manager. He was actually my student in 2019. Now he's my racing manager. The guy
Yeah.
travels with me, helps with all the calls with the sponsors, with the team, with the series, and like he's constantly managing my life to make sure that we get the maximum results. He's the one who said, "Hey, try practicing more in the sim.
Yeah.
You might be neglecting the sim a little bit." He's the one. And then when I said those things, and when I drove the 3 laps and I did like the fastest lap was lap 3, he was like, "I told you, man." And I'm like, "Okay, you're right." So yeah, he's extremely important in my whole career right now. So I will always forever thank him for trusting in me and for investing so much of his time into becoming my racing manager. I would love to thank Podium One for sponsoring my whole year in 2025. They were my major sponsors, and also Logitech G, who have found me when I had 8,000 followers. And since then, we've been growing together. We've been doing a lot of things. I'm always traveling with them. We are renewing for next year, so I'm gonna continue representing Logitech in 2026, and we have a lot of good news coming. And yeah, thank you, Brian Bielanski, for having me here and for listening to a lot of blabbing about racing.
I love it. I love it. As you could tell, this is fun for me. So, a great conversation and follow. You didn't do the important stuff though. You didn't tell people where to follow you.
Ooh, true.
Yeah. So let's let people know where to find you.
Yeah, so the main benefit for sim racers is my YouTube channel, Suélio Almeida. You can watch some really good racing content there from real life. That's one of my passions, is to tell the story and to make some kind of like mini movies. The videos are getting longer and longer. It's really cool stuff, but that's pure entertainment. There's also the coaching side of my YouTube channel, which is where I explain all those crazy concepts and the crazy things that I came up with trying to explain racing to people over these 5 years. It's all there. But if you want a true, university level structure for you to become a better driver, it's really proven right now. I have many drivers this week racing the 24 hours of Barcelona in real life in a Porsche Cup, and my logo is right there. There's a lot of students racing LMP3s, GT3s, GT4s, radicals all over the world. So these guys are I'm very proud to help these guys achieve what they are achieving. If you want to get to that kind of proficiency in racing, you can always join the Almeida Racing Academy. The strongest, the flagship course for us is the Motor Racing Checklist. That's the one I launched back in 2022. It was my first course, and it's still the best course that teaches everything about how to drive as fast as you can. I strongly recommend starting with that. The Motor Racing Checklist is insane. We have just 99.9999% positive reviews of people saying, "Bro, what is that?" That completely changed. We have people going from 2K to 7K already in a matter of like a year or two, just because they completely changed their way of thinking. So yeah, I'm really proud of that. That truly defines my success, is that online course, the Motor Racing Checklist. But we're gonna probably only call it the Almeida Racing Academy very soon. It's gonna become part of one thing,
Got
one
it.
university, one membership where you go through everything. It's gonna be extremely organized. We've been working for many months on a completely new platform, and it's all gonna be under one membership. So
Nice.
the price is gonna go down like 8x, because now the plan is to make it more accessible to a lot of people who were not able to pay $200 for a course. We're gonna make it way, way, way less. And now in one membership, you're going to have access to everything. If you buy it right now before November, you're going to have lifetime access to whatever you bought. So still a huge benefit to get it now. And yeah, if you have any questions, send me a message on Instagram or on Discord or anywhere you find me, and I'm going to be available.
Cool. And I'll put the links to that stuff in the show notes. So don't have to work too hard if you're driving while you listen to this. Don't pull over. Don't crash. We'll get those in the show notes. You can just click the link. Suélio Almeida, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much, man. It was great.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Inside Sim Racing. If you like this, there's a lot more of this conversation on the Racing Network on YouTube. That's my channel. We talk with Suélio a lot longer than what we're putting on this show. So shift over to the Racing Network to see the rest of our conversation here. And it's a good conversation, a lot more great content. So enjoy yourself. Have yourself a great week and go race your sim.